Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Assalatu wassalamu wa anbiya wal mursalin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad Fatih Makhlik wal khatir lima sabaq nasrul haq haq hadil siratul mustaqim wa ala alihi aqdaril azim. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh everyone wherever you are. May peace be upon you. We pray that you are in good health, well-being, and in a state of good iman, inshallah. Welcome to another program at the Sout Ilaahi Muslim Art and Film Festival. Right, and today we have someone who I felt that very interesting. I met him when I was in London, 2012. Yeah, mashallah, he's a poet. He's a spoken word artist. His name by the name of Ahmed Ikhlas. Right. So today we're going to have an interesting conversation and interview where we call it Bob Marley, Reggae, and Sufism, discovering my inner path. Right. So before I bring Sidi Ahmad in, I'd just like to say he read his biography for those who may not heard of him or know him, and just to introduce him. And I think he is someone who is worth, not say worth, but someone who is very inspiring and also gifted. Uh, Ahmad Ikhlas is an international dub poet, reggae, and garage musician who draws on his Jamaican heritage and his British upbringing to form a unique style of music and poetry, which he uses in praise of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to send message of love and empowerment. Ahmad Ikhlas was born and raised in South London. Although he always had a love of music, deeper appreciation of music as a means for change and empowerment developed during the rise of the UK garage scene, where he was known for his musical abilities and frequented radio station under the moniker MC Melos. It was on the music scene that Ahmad Ikhlas became good friends with UK Apache, who was
Mana?
invi- who was invited him to mosque, right? And at the age of 17, while still in school, Ahmad embraced Islam. F- For the first 10 years of his life as Muslim,
I've
he
got a
felt
small bottle
music
of water in my room.
to focus on spirituality.
Wait.
Now Ahmad fuses his faith and identity and travel, sharing his experience and singing songs of praise. So I would like to welcome Brother Ahmad
Wait,
now into
Mana.
the scene.
Hurry.
And mashallah, yep.
Okay. I'm on live now. I love you, please.
Oops. Yo,
So, cool.
so, Assalamualaikum.
Hey, Cindy, how you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Alhamdulillah.
How's the pandemic now becoming? How is it like now?
Do you know what? You get so much different reports, but there was it has died down, but there's some speculation that there's going to be a new wave. Actually, saying that there has been some cities in the UK. I think Manchester and Leicester, if my memory serves me correctly, they've actually gone through a second lockdown. So
Okay,
some places are good, while some places are reclining.
okay. May Allah protect all of you and ease all of you.
I mean,
Alhamdulillah. I mean, I'm happy to see you again, mashallah, and happy to work with you, subhanallah. And we thank Allah for this blessed occasion and this Muslim Film Arts and Film Festival is also to create the awareness on the hospital
mm,
built in Taibanias under Al Fatiano Sheikh Main Sise. So we are
yeah,
now, trying to create the awareness and also raising some funds for it from time to time. Right. So thank you
yeah,
for the support, CD. Uh, Before we begin, I'd just like to say to you, mashallah, the first time I met you in London, and I think that was like 2012, and
yes,
it was an event where you begin the event and you were reading some spoken words, poetry. I don't know what you call it, but I was like, wow, this is something I never seen before.
Masha.
I would say like unique,
Yeah.
because you were freestyling, and at the same time the words are rhyming, and it contains a significant depth to it. It's not just words been blurting out and just being said for the sake of saying, but
Mhm.
it has a profound words in it that touches our heart, right? So before we really enter this conversation, Sidi, would you like to say to do something for us today? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely,
Bismillah.
definitely. Bismillah. So I'm going to start off with one of my favorite stories of all time. And it's also, it's been dubbed the best of all stories in the Quran. And that's about the story of Prophet Yusuf. It's such a compelling story with so many different lessons that we can learn from it. And I was just inspired to write something about it. So, inshallah, I will
Inshallah.
perform this on that. Bismillah. There was a dream, a peculiar scene, it mean a kingdom would flourish. 11 star moon and the sun, them all passed straight to Joseph. When the father was informed him, one, my son, don't you trust vision to your brother, them, cause the devil to the end is known to sow death. Thing called envy, leave your soul empty, that state is hopeless. And they burn down these like the fire, burn the wood, you need some water for odors. One day, one of the brothers them say, Father, can we play out with Joseph? Reluctantly and said yes, but him just stay safe and focused. Papa Jacob noticed that the brothers returned without Joseph. Here, father, hold his blood-stained shirt, heart pain, hurt, wounders. I plot them try for conquer, but them flop cause the prophet he noticed. Them a talk about wolf big lie, both cover up story bogus. And behold is the glorious story of Prophet Joseph. For father of Moses, the Almighty chose this. So invest in the best and learn in turn, you earn more than gold. This glorious story of Prophet Joseph. Meanwhile, the child in the well, him fell and pushed down by the elders. He was patient, a good servant, him get fined by the merchant, them sold him to the owners. The ruler of the throne, his place became his home. They see that he was so blessed. They nurtured him from young until he was grown. They were pleased with his progress. One day the king's wife started creeping, lock off the doors, and she was seeking some closeness of the inappropriate kind. But the good man declined and replied, no, this. Not of the righteous or the pious or the ego, we have to control this. A tussle, a rustle, a scuffle, a shirt got torn in the process. Feeling rejected, she decided to let rip a plan that was ruthless. What is the penalty of the one who tried to think with the king's wife? Your life, them all go slew this. Half witnessed by the king, and next morning come in for assess and view this. He said, if it's ripped from the back and not the front with him, that's where the truth is. And behold is the glorious story of Prophet Joseph, forefather of Moses, the Almighty chose this. So invest in all the best and learn in turn, you earn more than gold. This glorious story of Prophet Joseph. So the king went on inspection to find out the section which part the clothes read. And what him found, she became the talk of the town. There were so many rumors. So she formulated a plan, invite the women of the land for dine, and she be the hostess. In the midst of the meeting, with these things, she decided to call out Joseph. And when they did see him, they wasn't feeling that they were peeling their own skin instead of the fruiters. Not a man but an angel, them said they must have bled all over the whole place. So say she, it's the same he, you to blame me for doing the act that was grotesque. Caught in the days, couldn't lower them gaze, cause the last it was running potent. And behold is the glorious story of Prophet Joseph, forefather of Moses, the Almighty chose this. So invest in all the best and learn in turn, you earn more than gold. This glorious story of Prophet Joseph. They were calling Joseph to the things that the righteous will call forbidden. Him prayed to the Almighty One and turn the Lord put him in a prison where he interpret the dream them, give them full meaning and them with precision. One of the inmates set free. Where did this be for years working in the kingdom? One day the king had the dream, but nobody could seem to decipher the vision. And the ex-prisoner remembered that Yusuf could do this because he was full of wisdom. So set him free, summon him to me. That was the king's decision. Clear my name, clear my name, clear my name. Clear my name, I may wrongfully blame. So clear my name, clear my name, clear my name on the things that them claim. Clear my name, clear my name, clear my name. So the king did listen. So Joseph give the interpretation, and the king take it in. Him listen, you see him show them how to do the crop and the cow. It was a type of division, and that's the method the son of the shepherd advised the king to save the provision. And so pleased was the king with him, him raised him up in a high position, where he no govern the land with justice, cause trust is in the Almighty One with conviction. And behold is the glorious story of Prophet Joseph, forefather of Moses, the Almighty chose this. So invest in at best and learn in turn, you earn more than gold. This glorious story of Prophet Joseph. Thank you. Yeah, so that was part of the story that inspired me to write that piece.
So he's on Prophet Yusuf, right?
That's correct, yes.
Mashallah, beautiful, beautiful. And when did you wrote about that song? When did you wrote about Prophet Yusuf?
When? It was a few years ago, actually. It was a few years ago. I remember just I listened to a piece actually that was written by somebody that I know. There's a sister, her name is Sarah Yassin. She wrote a piece about Joseph, and I thought that is a really nice song. You know, you don't really hear many songs about Joseph, Islamically. So from then, I just really started to toy with the idea, and then I don't know, I just thought of a few lines in my head, and then it just wrote itself. And like every line that I wrote, I began to write a next line, and it just kept on coming out, and coming out, and coming out. So
Inshallah.
that's
Yeah. See, you're a Jamaican, inshallah, and I always heard about Jamaica. It's always Bob Marley, and of course the football team ever enter World Cup. So inshallah, but the roots of it, how does it define your life? Does anyone came to you or met you cross path, and knowing that you from Jamaica, they say, "Hey, Bob Marley," you know.
a
Uh,
lot of a lot of times it's very strange. And it's quite interesting how just known Bob Marley is around the world. It'll be like anybody from any background or nation, and that's one of the first things that they would say when hearing the name Jamaica is Bob Marley.
yes.
Which it's quite
Yeah.
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to know that you know, uh, Bob Marley. He transcends boundaries and cultures. It's really nice to know that.
Siri, but how is it that it's a norm, I guess, because the way your music itself
Yeah,
reflect the soul of Jamaican, I believe so. And
yeah,
Jamaican besides the coffee is the music, the ambience. I got it right. So how is it move around? Then you became Muslim at the age of 17. We read your
yeah.
bio, and how it happened then, from Bob Marley, I would say Bob Marley culture, right? And suddenly you became a Muslim. How was it then, for you yourself in embracing that changes in your life and moving forward, to
Yeah,
be a poet and also to be a spoken word artist? Yeah.
yeah. That is quite an interesting question. First and foremost, I would say like just being a Jamaican anyway. Reggae music is part of our lives. That is just how we socialize. You know, any any event, weddings, christenings, you always hear reggae music, and the topics are always, not always, but a lot of topics in terms of reggae are about godliness, or love, you know. So that is that with that essence, it's always reinforced through the music, you know. I was born into a Christian family myself, so again, there was always that presence of God, or that awareness, you know, that God is present. I also attended Sunday school as a young boy, so reading the Bible was something quite normal for me to do. Um, but what happened, I guess, when I became older, I felt this disconnect from the church, but not necessarily from God. It was just from the church itself. I'm not sure why that actually happened, but I just felt like something for me felt quite empty. But I couldn't really, I didn't have the answers for that. But one of the things that helped me look in the direction of Islam was watching the episode of Roots. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Roots.
Yeah,
It's
I know
about,
roots.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for the audience that might not be familiar, it's about the slavery period that happened throughout the Americans. So when the Europeans, they took Africans and scattered them over the Americas to uh, work on the plantation. So free labor, as they say. So I saw an episode of Roots, and it was Kunta Kinte. He was actually aboard the slave ship, and then he started to call out to Allah. He said, "Oh Allah, please help me. Please help me. Um, relieve me of this situation." And that made me think, wow, he said Allah. And at that time, I more associated with Islam with the majority of people in this country at the time, which were Indo-Pak people. So I didn't realized that, okay, Africans were also Muslim as well. So that made me think, if Kunta Kinte is a Muslim, perhaps my ancestors were Muslim as well. So I made that sort of connection. So I
Mm-hmm.
was more intrigued,
Yeah.
uh, with that. And then also during the same period of time, this is in the 90s, the film Malcolm X came out,
Oh, yes,
and
yes. I remember that.
again,
Yeah.
yes, very powerful film. Again, that was showing this black presence and this Islamic connection, and that intrigued me. And it was, um, I was invited to the mosque actually, coincidentally, by somebody that
Wow.
I know. Yeah, and because already then I was thinking about Islam, and I got invited to the mosque. I just thought this must be a sign. So yeah, when I went to the mosque, I felt this unusual feeling that I didn't feel it at a church. It was this tranquil feeling. It was very quiet. It was peaceful, and people were praying, prostrating, and it just made me feel at ease, at peace.
Mashallah.
And then when I started to inquire about Islam, the things that I found out were quite striking and astonishing. Um, because I really thought it was something a completely different religion, but when I realized that it was an extension of what I believed before as being a Christian. All these same names were mentioned from, Ibrahim alayhi salam to Musa to Isa. All these same names were mentioned, and it was like, okay, this is very close to home anyway. So it didn't feel like I was leaving anything away. It felt like I was just getting the missing piece of the puzzle, you know. And that was mainly because of the connection with Africa that enticed me.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. You were saying that reggae is part of the heritage of being a Jamaican, and is in your blood actually. And I mean, it's really you. And when people hear reggae, they know it's Jamaica, and
Yes, yes,
instantly
yes,
it will come, right? But for you,
yeah,
like, when you became a Muslim, how does it to this point now you are a poet? So was it at one time you feel like I'm gonna be leaving everything because I'm a Muslim now,
yeah.
or was it that is a transition for you?
Okay,
Like, yeah.
yeah. So it was a transition. So I gave you the sort of the shortcut to the journey in terms of that. So I was always musically inclined. That was my thing. And I just feel like a lot of people that are Caribbean, they like to either rap or do poetry. So it's something that's part of the culture. So I was always that way inclined, and I used to rap before. Um, and the things I used to rap about was like, this is like sort of pre-practicing Islam. It was like, partying and, it's things with no substance.
Yeah.
Um, because that was obviously at the time, that was something that was quite in, that was quite fashionable. And what happened when I embraced Islam,
Mm-hmm.
I, for a good while, I stopped using my creativity because I felt like there was nothing for me to do. But then when I looked around and I saw beautiful expressions of um, different cultures, showing their appreciation, their love for Islam, different languages like Malay, Urdu, Arabic. It was a beautiful thing. And I thought, I feel that there's a place for, Caribbean
Mm.
Muslims to express themselves in that sort of way. So that's why I started to do it.
How long was that from where to 2020? How long was that when you started to do spoken word and write poetry? And how does it comes to you then? How how
Yeah,
how how it all started? I mean, right?
Yeah, I had about a 10 year break, to be honest. Yeah, 10 year
Wow.
break. Prior to that, I was actually resident on a radio station. So I was quite a local radio station, and I would go on the station and I would basically just rap. That was my thing. So when I started practicing, I gave it like I just stopped. All my creativity, I just stopped. But it was one day I was just in my room, and I was messing around with a tune that I was producing, and then something just came to me. I just started to express. Uh, I
Inshallah.
just started to yeah, I just started to express it in a reggae style. So the tune that I was working on, I just started to sing this melody. Everywhere me go, me have the praise of the Lord, praise of the Lord. Eh, Inna the masjid or inna me yard, me praise of the Lord. So that was the first song that I written, and I thought, you know what, that sounds okay. And then from
It's
then it just
beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really. I think the uniqueness of people in certain parts of the world, like Jamaican, African American, you guys have something that is nature in you. Like I don't know, the way you see it, the way you sing it, the way you describe what comes to your mind, to your soul, to your heart is mind blowing. I would say it's like
Alhamdulillah.
it's like the
Alhamdulillah.
birds. It's like the birds chirping harmoniously in the garden.
Yeah, Allahu Akbar. Yeah,
Yeah,
I find it's very um, soulful music. It penetrates the heart. Yeah,
yeah. I
Alhamdulillah.
mean, to get to that level is incredibly, I would say, profound because, here I am. I tried to sing, and everybody was like, "Hey, stop it, stop it, stop it."
Oh, really?
I'm I, I'm not as good as Jamaican, man. You, man. Yeah. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is like the beauty. When I meet people from all this continent, the Jamaican, the Africans, and so on, the beauty is really from their soul.
Yeah,
When you hear their music, when you hear their voice, even without music, like you were singing just now. Wow.
yeah.
It's like transporting us into another realm. I would say that. I mean, I'm not exaggerating because this is rare, I would say. Yeah. So you have any albums, Siri?
I have one album. Yeah, it's called the Night Journey, which was produced in 2015. It was recorded with Fader Sounds, and it was worked on with Sidi Rakim. Me,
Mashallah.
Sidi Rakim. Yes.
Mashallah.
So
How
that's
does this yeah. Sorry, sorry.
that's
How
my album.
okay, mashallah. I think we need more details about your music because or your songs because a lot of people watching they want to know how to get your stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's good if you. How do they get your album or your songs that you have recorded? Yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's available only on hard copy, but we are looking to put it digitally available. So like on Spotify and all these other streaming platforms as well. But if anybody wants a hard copy, they just can go to the website, which is ahmedikhlas.com, and then you can basically request an album
Inshallah.
from me.
Thank you. Thank you. How does this Sufism comes into your life then? Was it in the earlier part of you being a Muslim, or is just like Allah give to you because you're already transcending, with what you're doing with poetry and all that stuff, or it was before, or it came as it goes along?
It came as it went along, but I would say coming from a Caribbean Christian family, that was quite a spiritual experience. when we're in church, the hymns that were sung, they were sung from the heart. They were sung very spiritually, and you'll see people getting in, different states. So that aspect of spirituality was always with me. It wasn't anything new, you know. And like what we spoke about with like reggae music, you had different elements of reggae music as well. So you had um, the reggae music that was sung by the Rastafari movement, and the Rastafari movement is a religion that is part of the Abrahamic faith, very similar to Christianity, just a few differences. So a lot of the times when they sung their songs, you'll find many biblical references in their songs, you know. Um, but yeah, when I made that transition to Islam, it was it wasn't that it was a spiritual experience, but in terms of expressing yourself spiritually, that wasn't there in the beginning. It was more textual knowledge. So I've done a lot of reading, which I was happy about. Um, but it wasn't until I came across this group of people who I was actually invited to a session, and they were sitting down in a circle and they was reciting um, the Quran. They were reciting the verses of the Quran in unison, and they were doing salawat. And I thought, okay, this is quite spiritual. This is very similar to what I know, you know. So that was
Mhm.
my introduction. But obviously, me being, a young Muslim, I started to inquire about these set of Muslims that were doing these things. So the feedback that I got from that was there's a mixture. A lot of it was quite negative. This is not obviously a part of the religion, and some of it was positive. So what I done research for myself, and I was satisfied. I was satisfied based on that, And for me, that enhanced um, my belief and my practice as well, because us Caribbean people, Afro-Caribbean people, we're very expressive in terms of our religion. You know, that's quite important to us.
Inshallah. Beautiful. And I know that you guys are really expressive in many ways.
Yes.
I saw it everywhere I go. As I mentioned earlier just now, it's just a divine beauty that you guys know how to, what we call it, able to express yourself easily, right? So from time to time, when how do you see your poetry, your spoken words play a role in society, right?
Uh, yeah, I think it's important because from the feedback that I've received is people are appreciative, first and foremost, that there is a different type of expression that they're hearing, especially concerning, Islamic elements, and for them, they say that what you're doing, you're displaying what Islam is. Islam is for all. It's for all nations. It's for all people, you know, and to show that side, is very inclusive, you know. And also, it's to show other people that yes, there are Caribbean Muslims as well. We do exist, and we are ourselves as well. I find that a lot of times as well when somebody meets me and they um, realize that my heritage is from the Caribbean, one of the first things that they ask is, "Oh, are they Muslim Caribbean?"
Huh.
You know,
Yeah.
you know. So again, for me to express myself that way, it just shows that yeah, we are also Muslim as well.
Yeah, but how im- how is it that you do your work, your artwork? Are you a full time artist, or you have a regular job and this is somehow your part time? How, how is it for you?
Oh yes, this is something that I do on the side. So you could say it's part time. It's part time. I also have another job that I do as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was the critic like, or was that anything that you do, with your arts? Were there any harsh criticism in saying that this has nothing to do with your faith and this is wrong? And how do you deal with it then, and to move forward with what you do and believe that it has light that can change people, which it does. It hits me a lot, and he hits a lot of people who I know say, "Oh my class, he's unique." We love his. I don't know how you call it, but it's different. It's like I would say a Jamaican freestyle poetry, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been dubbed so many names, like as you said, Jamaican freestyle or dub poetry or spoken word. There's so many titles for it. But to be fair, I haven't received that much criticism. Hardly anything, to be honest. There's one time where I noticed something when I was performing with females, and also we was using some instruments. Then that was the only time that I saw that people were quite unhappy about the use of instruments and performing with women in public. But other than that, the feedback has been very positive. Everybody that I've met and seen have been very supportive of what I do.
Inshallah, may Allah continue to preserve you and make your music a means, or whatever art that you're doing, as a means
I
of
mean,
light to humanity. How does Sufism impact, or Sufi path that you are on, impact the art that you're doing?
yeah. So um, I'm 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 able to express the importance of the things that Tasawwuf emphasizes. For example, salawat. And that's one of the main things that I learned from Tasawwuf was the sending salawat upon the Prophet, and for how important it is. And in the manner that we do it. You know, so I can express the importance and the love through that through my artwork as well, and also the importance of knowing, the Creator, knowing Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, you know, and how important it is for us to build a relationship with Him, because these are the things that I didn't really learn in depth before, but it's the Tasawwuf that enabled me to see the importance. For example, how can you worship the Creator sincerely from your heart if you don't know Him? You know. So these are the things that I'm able to express now that I have that knowledge of, from Tasawwuf.
Inshallah, Sidi. Beautiful. In regards to, there are lots of young people, and I went through that phase too. I love music, and I
Yeah,
felt that that's how I connected to you too. I appreciate all kind of music, especially the Caribbean, and the reggae, and the freestyle, hip hop, and even the subculture. But that's how it led me to Sufism too. Actually, seriously. Yeah,
alhamdulillah.
yeah.
Mashallah.
I'm actually writing a book on it, from punk rock to Sufism, and make dua for it to be smooth, inshallah, and beneficial, inshallah.
I mean, may
Yeah.
Allah enable it.
So a lot of young people, as I mentioned just now, right? They look at you, and they may take you as a role model also, because when you are young, you need something. You want to be associated with something. You want to be associated with identity, especially
Yeah.
through your music, through your clothing, through your ideology, whatever ideology you had. So, what would your advice be, for all these young people, young folks who wants to do what you do, poetry, spoken words, maybe Jamaican freestyle, whatever term we can label it, right? Because a lot of times, I think the issue will always be like, it's not a clear cut like, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm going to do this. So is this right? Is this wrong? Also, my lyrics has to be purely Islamic. It has cannot be, that sort of thing, like which you shared, that how you left something and then it came back. So, what will your advice be for all these folks that watching?
Yeah. Okay. So first, I would like to say, in terms of Islam, Islam has a rich heritage in poetry. That is part of the Islamic framework as well. And if you find what you'll find as well, a lot of the people of knowledge, the scholars, and they wrote poetry in terms of how to teach people. Famous texts are written in poetry. So in terms of doing poetry, that no one should feel alien as a Muslim doing poetry. Obviously, the issue is how you express that, but another that is another topic altogether. But I would say, like, as a young person doing poetry, it's a very good thing. And what one could do was always write everything that comes to your mind. You write it down. And a good place to start up is going to open nights. That's how I found. That's what helped me, going to open nights, and it's basically using that platform to share my work with people. And it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you how to public speak. It teaches you how to express yourself. It teaches you how to engage a crowd as well. So I would say, as a young poet, once you've written all your work, share it. You know, share it with your friends. Share it online. Um, what you could do is make videos. We live in a social media time, so you can make a video of you recording something and you can upload it, and it's good to get feedback from people. So yeah, don't be afraid to share.
But I think most of the time nowadays, because of social media, as you mentioned, social media easily accessed, but at the same time, the critical part is the pressure to deliver.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how is it that one is able to endure like criticism? You say, oh, your music is not good. Oh, your
Yeah.
lyric, nah, it's not listenable. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the criticism, I feel like you should, and it is harsh. It's harsh, and sometimes it can be very hurtful. But if you can, first of all, you have to be sure in yourself. That's the most important thing. You have to have certainty in yourself and your own ability. But in terms of criticism, you can review it in a way where if somebody's being critical about something that may have some significance. But if they're just trashing your stuff, then that it's not worth the time of day. But if they're saying something about maybe what you said, you know, um, you might have said something that may have not been correct, then there's ways you can review criticism, But if it's negative, you just basically ignore it. But some people, I guess, are not ready for that type of feedback. Um, so that's one thing to bear in mind. If you are going to put your stuff out on social media, you need to um, bear in mind that you are going to receive both the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah,
We put ourselves out there for that.
you have to be open in a sense of accepting criticism, and that's how you grow, right?
Exactly. And in terms of, like, for example, if I expressed one of my songs with musical instruments, yeah, I accept the fact that um, there are some people that are not going to like it. There's some people that don't believe it's permissible. I accept that. And that is for them. That is their stance, and I'm not here to convert anybody. Because I feel like these opinions are valid for people. So that's one thing I do accept. You know.
How many poetry or spoken words you had done so far, Siri?
How many? Do you know? I've never counted, to be honest. I've never counted, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
You don't know.
No. But I've,
Mashallah.
I've got some as well that are unfinished as well. You know,
Mm.
I revisit every so often to try tweak it up, but sometimes you just have to leave it. It's almost like you get it's like wahi, some inspiration sometimes, and enables you to finish a piece. You know, or sometimes you're just waiting for that day for you to for it to come down and you know um, descend on you. But how many pieces do I have? I don't know, maybe over 30. I don't know,
Wow.
honestly.
Do you plan to publish it?
In terms of a book, yes, I do plan on publishing it because one of the things that I realized as well is that is, uh, not everybody has the ear for the Caribbean twang, you know. So,
They
so
won't be able to hear it, but they able to love it. That's important.
yes, exactly, yes, exactly. I was thinking of writing something, publishing something in two forms, one with the sort of Caribbean dialect, and the other with the
Wow.
actual the meaning as well, what it actually means. Yeah.
It's interesting because you were born in South London
That's
and
right.
you've been living London all this while in your life. How old are you now, if you don't mind?
I'm 40 now.
40. And you
Yes.
are 40 years in London and you are still able to speak the Jamaican way. MashaAllah.
Yeah, 'cause I was raised around Jamaicans. I actually was raised in my grandparents' house, you know, so that was the language that was spoken in the house. Yeah,
Amazing. Subhanallah.
alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. That's something that we treasure a lot because sometimes we lost our, the way we speak, the essence, because we were not in the place where its origin.
Yes,
But
that's correct.
subhanallah, Allah preserve you for that. So, Siri, before we end, we nearly an hour, and it's been a beautiful conversation with you all the time. I mean, not only now, but all the time.
Yes.
Before you, I would like to ask you what you like, what you had, what's your future plan? And I mean, is there anything that you like to share with us, your achievement in your art, in your work, in your poetry?
Yeah, I feel like um I'm going to do one more last album. Yeah.
Last album, wow! You
I
should
don't
have
know. I
more
feel
albums coming out.
sorry.
You should have more albums coming out.
I should. But I feel like I'm working on a project. I don't know. It might be my last album, but yeah, I feel um, we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, I plan to get some books published as well. I feel like having my poetry in book form would just have be another perspective for people to appreciate. Um, yeah, that's it for now. That's it for now. But as we're here, I would just like to also make people aware that it's very important that they donate towards the hospital. It's a very important. It's a very important thing that you guys are doing, and I commend you uh, deeply. And it's a hospital that we take for granted. That us living in um, places where hospitals are just we don't even think about like not going to the hospital. Something's wrong. We take for granted that we can just go to the hospital and get treatment. But obviously some places like Senegal, hospitals are very scarce. And the fact that you guys are taking the time out for this initiative. And I would urge people to please to get on board and to donate whatever they can. So we can see this project through. You know, and it will be such a huge reward for everybody that participates the Sadaqah Jariyah that you receive for everybody that gets treated, that gets seen, you know. So yeah, please, for anybody, donate as much or as little as you can. You know, all efforts will be appreciated.
Allah, thank you, Sidi. Can we end with your poetry? Another poetry, please.
Yes.
All right.
One second. I'm just going to close my door. Bismillah. We send the praise upon the Nabita. 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 And if you never knew, let me tell you, it's Rasulullah. Muhammad Ahmed Mahmud is the jewel of Allah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, salawat through Allah. We send the praise upon the Nabi Taha. And when it comes to the Prophet, them don't know say Taha, the seal of them all. So send the salawat anytime him name call. They love they have for the Prophet cause the people to fall. Tears them a flow like the rainfall, and none of them cannot stop it cause it continue on and continue to grow. All send the praise upon the Nabita. We send the praise upon the Nabita. We send the praise for the Nabita. We send the praise for the Nabita. And if you never knew, let me tell you, it's Rasulullah. Muhammad Ahmed Mahmud is the jewel of Allah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, salawat you Allah. We send the praise for the Nabita. And when it comes to the Prophet, them don't know Seta is amazing. All around the world, them give thanks, salawat, praise him. The most praise title Allah gave him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who rank him and raise him. With Allah in his sight, nothing else don't face him. And in the heart where the love is save him, send the praise upon the Nabita. We send the praise upon the Nabita. We send the praise for the Nabita. We send the praise for the Nabita. And if you never knew, let me tell you, it's Rasulullah. Muhammad Ahmed Mahmud is the jewel of Allah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, salawat you Allah. We send the praise for the Nabita. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله قدره ومقداره العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you, Sidi. May Allah preserve you, your work, your family, and raise your maqam and suffice your need. And mashallah, hope to see you again and hope
Hope
to
to see
work
you.
together with you. And
Yes, maybe in
inshallah,
Singapore. Inshallah.
yes, yes. Yeah.
Inshallah.
See you again, inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Hello. Hi.
Still live.